today's deep dive. Get this, we're talking about AI, but not just any AI artificial neurons powered by lasers.
Lasers, yeah.
Like straight out of sci-fi.
It does sound pretty futuristic.
But this is happening right now. A brand new Life Science article just came out February 4th, 2025. They're talking about neurons that are 100,000 times faster.
It's really remarkable. The speed we're talking about is just mind-blowing.
Okay, so as far as I understand it, artificial neurons are like the building blocks of AI, right? Like the tiny brains that make all the magic happen.
Exactly. They're the computational units that mimic the behavior of neurons in our brains.
So help me out here. Why is speed so important in this context? I mean, my computer feels pretty fast as it is.
Well, think about it this way. It's not just about loading web pages faster or, opening apps a little quicker. This kind of speed unlocks entirely new possibilities.
Like what? Give me an example.
Imagine being able to analyze medical images in real time. Like as a doctor is performing a surgery, the AI could be detecting subtle anomalies that a human eye might miss.
Wow, okay, so we're talking about life-saving potential here.
Absolutely. Or think about processing massive data sets to predict weather patterns with incredible accuracy, or maybe even preventing natural disasters.
So it's about pushing the boundaries of what's possible with AI.
Exactly. And this article from Live Science explains how these new laser-powered neurons achieve those incredible speeds. It all comes down to the difference between what we call spiking signals and graded signals.
Now, I remember from some of our previous deep dives that traditional artificial neurons use these spikes of electricity to communicate.
Right. And the problem with those spiking neurons is that they need a reset period after each spike. They can only fire so fast before they have to pause and recharge.
So it's like, imagine a runner who has to stop and tie their shoelaces after every few steps. It's not very efficient.
Exactly. They're constantly stopping and starting. These laser neurons, on the other hand, they've ditched the shoelaces.
They figured out how to just keep running.
Precisely. They use a graded signal, which means they can transmit information at varying intensities without needing that reset time.
So it's like a dimmer switch. You can have a full spectrum of brightness rather than just on or off.
It's a great analogy.
Okay, so that's how they achieve this incredible speed. But what about the real-world applications of this technology? The article mentions a couple that really blew my mind.
Yeah, one that I have found particularly fascinating was their analysis of heartbeat data. They were able to process 700 samples looking for arrhythmias at a rate of, get this, 100 million beats per second. 100
million beats per second. That's like analyzing the heart rhythms of an entire city in the blink of an eye.
It's incredible, right?
Yeah.
And they did it with amazing accuracy, over 98% accuracy in detecting those arrhythmic patterns.
Okay, but how does that actually translate into, helping people?
Well, think about real-time health monitoring, maybe even a wearable device that could constantly analyze your heart rhythm and alert you or your doctor if something's amiss.
We could potentially catch heart problems before they even become serious.
Exactly, and that's just one application. They also used it for recognizing handwritten numbers, processing nearly 35 million digits per second.
Okay, so from saving lives to sorting mail, it seems like these neurons can do it all.
Well, it's not just about reading numbers. That kind of speed and efficiency could revolutionize data analysis across a wide range of industries: finance, transportation, you name it.
We're talking about streamlining processes, optimizing logistics, even personalizing online experiences in real time.
Exactly. It's about making everything faster, smoother, more efficient.
This is where things get really interesting for me, though. The article dives into something called reservoir computing. Apparently, a single one of these laser neurons can act like an entire mini neural network.
Yeah, that's one of the most fascinating aspects of this research.
How is that even possible?
Well, it's a complex concept, but essentially they've incorporated memory into the neuron itself.
So it's like each neuron has its own little internal brain.
That's a great way to put it. This internal memory creates a kind of feedback loop within the neuron, allowing it to perform calculations that would normally require a network of multiple neurons.
Okay, now my brain is starting to hurt a little. We've gone from super fast neurons to mini brains inside each neuron. What happens when we start connecting these things together?
Well, that's a question for our next deep dive. We'll be exploring the potential of connecting these laser neurons into larger networks and the mind-boggling possibilities that opens up.
It sounds like we're just scratching the surface of what's possible. Buckle up, listener, things are about to get even more mind-bending. Okay, so we've got these individual laser neurons zipping along at warp speed. But what happens when we start connecting them together? Like building a network out of these super-powered brains.
That's where things start to get really exciting. The researchers suggest that by cascading these neurons, we could create systems with just phenomenal processing power.
So instead of one super fast marathon runner, now we're talking about a whole relay team passing the baton at lightning speed.
Exactly. And remember, these neurons, they're not communicating with clunky electrical signals. They're using light.
Ah, so even the communication between them is faster.
Much faster and with way greater bandwidth. It's like upgrading from dial-up to fiber optic internet for your brain.
So we're talking about a network that's not just fast, but also super efficient in how it uses energy.
Precisely. And this is a big deal. With the energy demands of AI constantly growing, we need solutions that are not just powerful, but sustainable too.
Right, because what's the point of having all this processing power if it takes a whole power plant just to keep the lights on?
Exactly. These laser-based systems, they have the potential to be significantly more energy efficient than traditional electronic neural networks.
Okay, so we've got speed efficiency potential for even greater complexity, but there's another angle to this that I find really intriguing, edge computing.
Ah, yes, edge computing. This is where it gets really interesting.
Can you remind me and the listeners what edge computing is all about?
Sure, so basically it's about moving the processing power closer to the source of the data. Instead of sending all your data to the cloud to be processed edge computing, lets devices handle more of that work locally.
So, like my smartphone being able to do complex image recognition without having to rely on a server somewhere else.
Exactly. Or think about self-driving cars. They need to make split-second decisions based on real-time data from their sensors. Edge computing can make that happen much faster and more reliably.
And these laser neurons, they seem like they'd be perfect for this kind of distributed processing.
Absolutely. Their speed efficiency, compact size, they're tailor-made for powering the next generation of edge computing devices.
It's like giving those super fast marathon runners their own individual tracks to run on instead of making them all squeeze onto the same crowded highway.
I love that analogy.
Hmm.
And as this technology matures, we can expect to see it integrated into all sorts of devices and applications. Wearable health monitors, smart home appliances, even industrial robots.
So we're potentially talking about a future where AI is literally everywhere, embedded in the very fabric of our lives.
It's a very real possibility. And with that possibility comes, a whole host of questions and challenges we'll need to consider.
Yeah, like what happens to privacy when every device is collecting and processing data about us?
Right. And how do we ensure that these AI systems are used ethically and responsibly?
Those are definitely conversations for another deep dive.
Absolutely. But for now, I think we can just appreciate the sheer ingenuity of this breakthrough and, the incredible possibilities it opens up for the future.
Okay, so before we get too carried away with all the what ifs, let's come back down to earth for a minute and revisit this idea of a single laser neuron acting as a mini neural network. I was trying to wrap my head around how that's even possible.
It is a bit mind-bending, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it all comes down to this fascinating concept called reservoir computing.
All right, so we talked about the incredible speed and the potential of networking these laser neurons together, but I'm still kind of stuck on this whole idea of a single neuron acting a mini neural network. You mentioned this thing called reservoir computing before. Can you maybe unpack that a little bit more for me and for our listeners?
Sure, it's a really cool concept, actually. It leverages the unique properties of these laser neurons in a very clever way.
Okay, I'm all ears. Lay it on me.
So imagine you have a container of water, right? A
Oh, yeah.
reservoir. And you introduce a single drop of dye into that reservoir.
Okay, I can picture that. What happens next?
Well, as that dye interacts with the water, it creates these really intricate swirling patterns. It kind of spreads out and mixes in a very complex way.
All right, I'm visualizing it. So how does that relate to a neuron?
Think of the laser neuron as the reservoir, and the light pulses that it generates, those are like the drops of dye.
Okay, so instead of dye, we've got light.
Exactly. But here's the key. Those light pulses aren't just simple on-off signals. They have a history, a memory, that's encoded in the way they interact with the neuron's internal structure.
So it's like each pulse leaves behind a trace, a ripple effect within the neuron.
You got it. And all those ripples, they interact with each other in these really complex ways. They create a sort of dynamic landscape within that single neuron. And that's what allows it to perform these computations that would normally require, a whole network of interconnected neurons.
It's like each neuron has its own little echo chamber where the past is constantly influencing the present.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah. It's really mind-bending when you think about it. And that's the beauty of reservoir computing. It's about harnessing this inherent complexity of these laser neurons to unlock a level of computational power that we just haven't seen before.
Wow, it really makes you wonder, what other hidden complexities might be out there lurking within these seemingly simple systems.
Absolutely. And as we continue to delve deeper into the world of AI, I think we're going to find more and more of these elegant solutions inspired by the natural world.
It's like nature has already figured out all the best tricks. We just have to learn how to understand and replicate them.
That's a great way to look at it. And these laser neurons, I think they're a perfect example of that.
Well, on that note, I think it's time for us to surface from this deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground today.
We have. It's been quite a journey exploring the intricacies of these laser neurons and all the amazing possibilities they hold.
From super fast processing to mini neural networks inside a single neuron, it seems like we're just beginning to scratch the surface of what this technology can do.
And as this technology evolves, it's going to raise new questions and new challenges that we'll need to tackle.
Yeah.
But for now, I think we can just appreciate the sheer ingenuity of this breakthrough.
It's a testament to human creativity and our relentless pursuit of understanding the world around us.
Absolutely.
So to our listeners, we leave you with this final thought. Imagine a world where AI isn't just a tool, but a partner, helping us solve complex problems, unlock new discoveries, and create a more sustainable and equitable future.
A world where technology empowers us to reach new heights.
The building blocks for that future, they're being laid right now. And it's up to all of us to ensure that we build that future wisely and responsibly.
So keep exploring, keep questioning, keep learning.
And stay tuned for our next deep dive.